Welcome back.
Does he? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go. Sorry, my bad.
We're done.
Yes.
We're done.
Oh, no.
Yes. It's my show now.
I'll say so.
Oh no, cancel the
My show.
What is the best season of our favorite shows? This is... Welcome back, everybody, to Versus, where we are talking and figuring out, debating what is the best season of Power Rangers. I'm joined again by my awesome co-stars. I got Alsace, I got Nick, I got Josh, and I got Sean back with me. How's it going, everybody?
Hello.
Hey, what's
Gang,
up?
gang.
Going good.
Now,
Had to call in sick to work today. I'm throwing up blood. I'm doing it wrong. You know that?
oh my God. So we're doing a sit down and do the last four in this bracket. So the first episode we're gonna be let's talk about what we've gone through so far. I mean, the last episode we did what Zeo versus SPD.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much a blowout once we understood that Zeo really is kind of just a stepping stone to something that's crazy like SPD, which is super original. But yeah.
Poor Zeo. I loved Zeo so much.
I love it.
I love it so much, but when y'all broke it down, it was just like, well, you're right. One, it is a stepping stone. Two, it never really had closure. Just start layering all the reasons together. It made sense. Plus, there was also supposed to be a VR Trooper Zeo team up episode that did not happen.
Oh, that would have been cool. I don't think it still would have
so
won.
cool.
Never knew that. Yeah.
No, I don't think it would have won over SPD because SPD is just gully. It just is. It's gully. So yes, but no. Pardon me. Continue, please.
No worries. Our episode for today, you guys, we are going to be discussing what is better, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue or Power Rangers Wild Force. Yeah.
Yeah. Which one's more mediocre?
Wow.
Well, before we
Hail
jump
to
into
mid.
everything,
Just hate.
I'm the bad guy this week.
Hate.
well, you're going to be the bad guy for 4 weeks then. If that's
That's
true.
I'm used to it. Look at my Twitter.
So you guys, we are going to jump into this. So just get the gears turning for a second. But first, we have another guest video submission from my friend over at the Ranger Command. We got Eric Berry.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric Berry, also known as Trekkie B47 from the Ranger Command Power Hour podcast, and I'm here to talk about Lightspeed Rescue versus Wild Force. And first of all, Lightspeed Rescue has a lot of pros going for it. It feels like a break from the Zordon era, kind of moving beyond the heavily serialized arcs of the past and coming into its own. It's got the first all-original American Ranger, the Titanium Ranger, and it's really the first team in the Power Rangers universe that was powered by an organization. Humans created the powers. Some of the cons, not all of the Rangers get a lot of balanced focus. Most notably, Chad is pretty silent and absent in maybe the first third of the series, doesn't have a really lot to do. And then the Titanium Ranger, because he didn't have any Sentai footage, a lot of what Ryan has to do later in the series it feels a little lost. Like he goes on this quest, he's missing for a big chunk of episodes, so you kind of miss out. Even though we get Titanium, you miss out on a lot of things to do for Ryan. For Wild Force, it's got a really strong environmental theme about protecting the Earth, and now more than ever that seems really relevant. And it has kind of this darker theme with the death of the Red Ranger's parents and kind of that whole story with Cole. And it really has some of the best team-up episodes. It's got Forever Red, reinforcements from the future with the Power Rangers Time Force. That was a very excellent crossover. Some cons for that. The characters, the acting, the dialogue can feel a little flat at times, especially like in the beginning, it really takes a while to pick up the story. But with all of that, I think my pick is Lightspeed Rescue. This is really a battle of Power Ranger seasons, technology versus animals and kind of nature. So I'm a huge fan of technological based seasons like SPD and Lightspeed Rescue and Time Force. So Lightspeed Rescue gets my pick, and I just want to say thanks and talk to you soon.
Awesome. Okay, so we got a Lightspeed Rescue. I love looking at his collection. He's got the little Maji Ranger Mandrake behind him. So cool. So let's jump into it. What do you guys? Who wants a first crack at this? Lightspeed Rescue, Wild Force.
Oh, I guess I will go.
Go for it.
So, as I mentioned before, I feel like both these seasons are kind of middle of the pack. Like, not terrible by any sense, but just a little middle of the pack. And also, when it comes to Lightspeed Rescue, it's a solid season. But like he mentioned in the video, our big 6 Ranger disappears for like half the season. A really cool story, but disappears. Our Red Ranger is essentially Captain America, and he's great at it, but that's all he is. And then the rest of the cast is kind of just there. But at the same time, with Wild Force, we have, in my opinion, minusing his real life issues, one of the best Red Rangers. But I don't know. I can't tell you one thing about the rest of the cast, other than the 6 Ranger and Wild Force. But the rest of the cast, I can't tell you a thing about them. They're just there.
Like, you can't remember anything?
I've watched the crossover, the Time Force crossover recently, a great episode. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you anything about that cast other than Cole. Cole's a fun character. His ending is kind of dark with like the reveal by his parents and the bad guy. That was actually really cool and kind of mature. Like you mentioned,
was it
Forever Red?
Is that his name?
Something like that, yeah.
That's Down Under.
Oh, see, I don't even know.
I would feel like Carter's a little bit better of a Red Ranger. He's very much like the ideal Red, you know what I mean? Like when you think of Red Rangers, Carter is like embodies all of those like elements of like heroism and like leadership and like really just like being that sort of figure for his team. But I would say that like I feel as though Wild Force has a far more balanced cast, because besides Carter and like maybe Joel, the rest of Lightspeed is super like forgettable to me. Like you have like the Yellow Ranger in Wild Force, who's like, I don't know, she feels like this cool like counter to the Red Ranger, the only one who really questions him and pushes him. You have like Max, who's just like this little kid, and then like Danny's this big teddy bear, and the whole story with like Merrick and Zanaku, I think that's really dope. I think the cast overall for Wild Force is a little more well balanced. So I might have to disagree with you, Nick, and say that like I feel like Lightspeed is just not there for me in terms of like having a well-rounded cast.
I still pick Wild Force over Lightspeed personally.
No. It's a respectful disagreement.
And I think like with
how dare you?
With the villain in Lightspeed, what's her name? Drakina? Did I get that one right?
That sounds right.
That's Lost Galaxy.
Damn it.
Vipra.
Are you thinking of Vipra?
Vipra, yeah. That's I rewatched this show, I want to say like 5 years ago, and I had it on in the background because I can just do that with Power Rangers. I'll just turn it on in the background when I work and it helps. But like every time Vipra scenes came on, didn't do anything for me. You know? It stopped everything I was doing.
It's rough.
But like
I think like the real shining like villains of Lightspeed are like Diabolico and Olympius and things like that. They're the better focus of the villains.
Diabolical's design is dope as hell with like the red star and stuff. So dope.
Yeah.
Also, I feel that from as far as like from a storytelling standpoint, that Wild Force has a better linear structure than Lightspeed Rescue does. Now, I'll be the first to admit that like there's a difference in watching Lightspeed Rescue the first half before Fox Kids is like, you know, we're done with this, and then Saban takes it over to Disney and whatnot, or Disney says, oh, we'll buy it off of you, it's cool. And Saban's like, I'm even more rich than rich. And then you do see that change in production cost you do see the stories get stretched out a little bit more. I mean, think about it, you get Forever Red because of Disney dollars. Okay, because like, we got this franchise, it makes all this money, it sells all these toys, it's either number 1 or number 2 in toy sales every single year during that era. So it's like, hey, let's have this massive reunion. And it was a low-key reunion because it was a thing that, like, that episode wasn't announced. If you just watched ABC one Saturday morning, oh, here comes Wild Force. What do you mean all these Red Rangers but Rocky came back? What? Excuse me? You know what I mean? So that was a very big surprise. And I think that pulled more people into watching Wild Force to figure out what it was all about. There's a lot of times I feel with Wild Force, and the team up with Time Force is dope. And also, I feel that Taylor, the Yellow Wild Force Ranger, is kind of like the progenitor to your current day Carol Danvers.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, as far as attitude and like, pushing people to be better, and also questioning a lot of things. Because that was the one thing I remember most. One of the two things I remember most about that team up with Time Force is that, she was the first to step up in people's faces and was just like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. No, this is what we need to do. Like all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, you the boss then. Okay, I see what you're trying to do then. Okay, go ahead. In the end, like with Lightspeed Rescue, it's a thing with me in that show. It's like, yeah, the designs are cool. Yes, the first ever really created Power Rangers from like a unit, like a developmental unit, instead of like, Zordon powers or the Morphin Grid per se. The Titanium Ranger as a design is okay, but it's also kind of like cool that you do get that American first. They're just like American first ever made original Power Ranger, and it's like, well, you kind of had to, because there's no 6th, and it doesn't incorporate well. It does not mesh well at all. It does not mesh well at all.
No, it really doesn't.
It's unfortunate.
Ryan is raised by demon. I'm sorry. Ryan's just like raised by demons, and he just turns into a goody midway through the season, and I kind of hate that. You know what I mean?
Well, you have a snake on your back, it kind of does things to you, But also, I mean,
he just disappears. Like, he's gone for so long in the show, you forget he's even part of it. You just see him in the the opening credits. You're like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be here, but he's off doing something.
He's looking at ruins in Middle East
somewhere.
I said this earlier before, but Lightspeed Rescue was like my first like real understanding that Power Rangers was a thing when I was growing up, because of the Happy Meal toys.
Power Rangers are at McDonald's, straight from Lightspeed Rescue and into your Happy Meal. You can collect and connect them to Megazord.
Anybody else want to buy? No.
We're good. Did somebody say McDonald's?
So if you guys remember, they had like little action figures, and then they had the little capsules that they fit in that you could put the capsules together and it would make the Megazord. And I always thought that was like it's really stupid toy, but it was really cool at the time. It's this giant T-posing Megazord, toy that you can get from McDonald's. But honestly, Wild Force was really like, I got into Power Rangers with Time Force because Time Force was just so good. It can draw anybody in watching. And then when Wild Force hit, I was so ready. Like, I literally bought everything that I could. I'd saved up. I did extra work. I was like mowing other people's yards because I was like, I want to get that dagger. I want to get all the interchangeable things. I want to get the Megazord. Like, I literally had that Megazord, which was, I believe, one of the last die-cast metal ones that they released over here. And I remember just being obsessed with it. Like, even during I think it was in 3rd or 4th grade, I was at a talent show, putting it together as fast as I could, to be like, bah! And I think I got it in 20 seconds. But that was just the impression that Wild Force, that was my season. Just seeing their little sashes with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everything about it just brings back fond memories. And it really, I think, prepped me for Ninja Storm, which came after it, and just blew my mind with how amazing the show could be. And I don't know, I feel like I side a little bit more towards Wild Force, having rewatched Lightspeed. And really the only thing I love about Lightspeed is it shows you the way that they morph, where they throw the shield out in front of them and then they,
that's cool.
That's the coolest thing.
The Super Train is awesome. It's one of my all-time favorites, and I think that that's the the distinguishable memorable Megazord from Lightspeed. But and Squall mentioned the Wild Force Zords, and I think Wild Force is a very unique season when it comes to its Zords, is since they are alive, I feel like they have so much more personality and importance than in previous Zords. I feel like it's almost like a refined version of like the relationship of the Rangers and the Galactabeasts from Lost Galaxy. And yeah, I love the Zords in Wild Force, and I think that it was really like one of the first seasons where they really figured out what to do with the Zords to make them more important. And I just think that works for the season a lot.
I think it always works. Yeah, like when you always have like the Zords that have kind of like their own characteristics or personality. Like I know Go Onger isn't like a very popular, series among certain people, but like that's a really fun part in Go Onger is just having all these like different wild characters, and like every time they do that, but then porting it over to RPM, they completely strip that away and they're just machines and they literally point at it and just like, why are there big anime googly eyes, on our things? And I love that they kept them as like these like protectors, these beasts that live on, the floating planet. What is it? Like Animagus? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Animarium.
I can't remember any of these terms.
Duh.
Well, it also adds more weight to it when like Zenaku steals a couple of them or steals their little crystals and stuff like that. You feel like that emotional weight to it.
It's like losing your like pet cat or dog or something, like there's a lot more like consequence to that, and I feel like even as a kid you understand like the weight of that and the importance of that, and even rewatching it, it's still kind of a heavy hitting moment when stuff like that happens with their Zords, or like they get like attacked or injured in their Zords, or down for the count. I mean, the other one is just a train. Oh, okay. We'll have it up and running by the end of the week.
I feel like you can kind of see as a pro or a con, because this really is like the first modern Power Ranger season when it comes to like how the toys and the Megazords are constructed, with like having a gimmick in the crystals, or like having like interchangeable arms and stuff for the Zords. I think this is like the first real season to do that. I might be wrong. And it's like, depending on how you feel about like the collectible gimmick, or like having a bunch of different Zords that really just amount to arm swaps, you can kind of really see that as a pro or a con. Personally, I think Wild Force did it well, but I think it started a trend that I think sort of weaned off over the years. And I don't really like that too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there was a lot of like focus and push to having this refined in the show and make sense in the show, and it sold so well because you could sell the main set, you could sell all these arms and legs and whatever, and then everybody saw the sales of that, and they're like, well, how do we do that in Ninja Storm? Okay, they come in little balls that are in the chest somehow. Okay, yeah, I definitely feel what you mean. Do we have any last words on Lightspeed Rescue versus Wild Force? Anybody want to like say any last attempt to sway anybody? I feel like this one's pretty divided a little bit.
Joel is dope. Joel's a dope character. The cowboy hat, Sky Cowboy. That's dope.
Remember that? Yeah.
He's like a two-sided character, depending how you take him.
Like, what? It's kind of funny because like you had that was a weird, not weird, but it was a fun transition when you had Lost Galaxy and you had Reggie Roll play the Green Ranger in Lost Galaxy, and he's basically sanitation, and like I called him the Fred Sanford Ranger, and and so I used to call him Fred Sanford Ranger, and then you go from Fred Sanford to like Black Cowboy, and I was like, yo, this is a major upgrade. This is a major upgrade. We got Black Cowboy. I was like, look, if I get a yeehaw, I'm good. If he finally gets his date, I'm good. He got his date. He said, yeehaw, put the hat on her head. And was like, let's go. And I said, okay, well done. Bravo. See, now I'll give Lightspeed Rescue props for that. I will, because I was just like, he's not going to be able to go out with this doctor. He's been trying to get with her all season. That's not going to happen. They ain't going to have interracial love up on this TV show. Oh, they did. Oh, hey, there we go.
That's a good point.
I will say the writing of Joel maybe wouldn't work as well in 2020. Yeah. When she's like, hey, she said no. That doesn't mean anything to me. Ooh.
He just puts the hat down lower.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, it would be handled. It would be handled with better gloves nowadays, as opposed to back then. But still, that actually happening. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And it actually did at the end. I was like, wait, ain't that cool? A happy ending. They were great. So yeah.
Joel and Carter really carry this season.
Yes.
Really carry this season. And I would say the two of them together might be a bit better than the rest of the Wild Force cast, I would say.
So my only thing with Cole being, in my opinion, maybe not better, but an equally good Red Ranger is because most of the season he learns from the team to make himself a better leader. Then he learns from a legacy of, 10 other Red Rangers. And you see him grow. Like, Carter is perfect from the get-go, more or less.
It's very Ghost Ranger-esque almost.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like where you have him just
I can see that.
having to take on the reins, having to jump into this position and not being qualified or everybody else looking at you like you shouldn't be here and really coming through and proving yourself. I think that's something that Power Rangers does a lot now, but I feel like, Wild Force really kind of cemented that where it's one coming into a group. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, that might have been an issue with how Lightspeed just structured their characters from the get-go, where they were all some kind of an experience like a rock climber or a firefighter or something. So you already have like almost refined characters before we even get to meet them. So it's like, that is a little tricky when you think about it.
And I know, like, when you go to like conventions and stuff, kind of to segue it, the very first Power Ranger I ever met was Jessica Ray, who played Alyssa in Wild Force, and just meeting her and then getting to meet everybody, like I don't know, it's so crazy to like watch these shows, especially growing up, and then getting to meet or talk with the people that were in them. And I don't know, this one's tough because I see the pros in both of them, but I don't know. You guys ready to vote?
Yeah.
All right.
This is a good matchup. This is a really good one.
This has been the toughest one yet.
So we're gonna throw up a 1 for Lightspeed Rescue or a 2 for Wild Force on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's unanimous.
Damn.
Damn.
Even when we don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
Yeah.
There you go.
Holy crap. Well, all right, cool. So Wild Force is the winner of this matchup. Man, okay, so like I said, this is going to get really good because all of these blowouts are going to come to a head when they go against one another when we sit down for our third recording. But, okay, cool. Wild Force, you're safe. You're moving on. So, yeah. Do you guys want to know what we're doing next time?
Oh boy.
The matchup will be Time Force versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
That's a rough one.
Better go get your shark cycles. Here we go.
Well, you don't want to miss that, but we will see you guys on the next episode of Versus. Bye.
Peace.